Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our webinar on how you can improve your supply recovery. My name is Roy Tavant, and I'm Product Manager for Warranty Solutions at Tavant. So as part of today's session, I'm going to share what I have learned about supply recovery by working with many OEMs over the last 10 years or so. And we will also go over a demonstration of supplier recovery module in our on-demand solution. If you have any questions as we are going through the presentation, feel free to ask them through the chat or the questions window on the webinar controls. Okay, so let's get started. So recently, maybe a few weeks back, an article came out in Warranty Week about supply recovery. And while looking at the data in the Warranty Week article, so that one was focused specifically on auto industry. And so one of the things that struck out, especially for me, was despite all the systems, all the processes, all the standardization that has happened in auto industry over so many years, their warranty recovery has gone, or it has decreased, when you compare to 2010, 2011. So right now, if I relook at the numbers, the way they are presented, we are looking at their warranty supplier recovery to be somewhere between 16 to 18% of their total warranty spend. And based on my discussion with Eric and based on his discussion with some other warranty experts, the general consensus is that supplier recovery can be anywhere a 25 to 75 split for an industry. And if I convert that into how much it means from a percentage of your warranty spend perspective, we are looking at roughly 30 to 33% of your warranty cost potentially recovered from your suppliers through supplier recovery process. And then I looked at some more data that he had presented way back, and I found another one on electronics industry. And electronic industry has been doing better than auto industry, and their supplier recovery is 20 to 25% of the warranty payout that the consumer-facing electronic companies are recovering from their suppliers. So overall, I know that supplier recovery percentage varies from one industry to another industry, but we can safely assume that you can target your supplier recovery to be between 20 to 25% of your warranty spend, unless until you are heavily dependent upon components manufactured internally. That does not seem to be the case with many OEMs in today's industry. So that's the opportunity that we are talking about for supply recovery. So our goal when we go through an implementation with our customers is to target a minimum of 25% of their warranty cost to be recovered through supply recovery. So with that, let's move on to some of the challenges that we foresee or the ones that OEMs are facing when they are trying to recover from suppliers. So the first or the biggest challenge that we have come across is lack of recovery contracts. So there are many OEMs even today who don't have any structured recovery contracts with their suppliers. And if those recovery contracts are in place, then they are available with purchasing. Warranty team does not have access to that data. So they are restricted by the different data silos that exist within the company. Another big challenge is how do you identify the correct supplier? So, and there are many issues when we are trying to solve this problem. So for example, you have different suppliers providing the part during manufacturing, post-sales. So it becomes a challenge to identify the correct supplier based on the build of the machine. And sometimes the data about the build or the bill of material for the machine is not present. So all these challenges make it very tough to identify the causal supplier when we are trying to go after a particular supplier for a recovery of a warranty incident. The next one, is lack of standards. So based on, my discussions with many auto suppliers, all of them follow a standard which is driven to a large extent by the top 3 or 4 automakers that they work with. So they might be getting the data from different sources, but to a large extent, they have very similar coding structures for failures, labor, and they are driven by the OEM. I don't see those standards being defined in any other industry. So many times when we go and talk to a customer about supplier recovery implementation, a few of the requirements end up being around how do we translate the failure structure or the job codes that our dealers are entering on the claims into what our suppliers expect from us to go through a recovery process. So that's where lack of standards end up making it more time consuming, making it more manual for everyone. So that's one of the biggest bottlenecks, where even though companies have dedicated teams, the time and the effort required to chase recovery with each and every supplier is so large that they end up letting things slip, or they don't pursue a lot of recovery opportunities. Another key challenge is today most of the OEMs have global suppliers, or they have global manufacturing facilities, but suppliers are located in a different geography. So that is creating a lot of translation issues. It's also creating a lot of logistics issues when it comes to sending failed parts or failed components back to suppliers for analysis. And many suppliers refuse to pay for any warranty failure unless until they see the part. So all these challenges make the whole supplier recovery process very complicated for OEMs. And that's where OEMs are struggling to achieve the ideal 25 to 30% recovery of their warranty spend. Now, that's where the challenges are. Now, based on what we have seen with many of our customers and through our discussion with many prospects, we have zeroed down on the following best practices. First and foremost, make sure you have a dedicated recovery owner. And that seems to be the case with most of the companies, most of the OEMs that we are working with. Second one is you should have a dedicated supplier recovery system, or at least a supplier recovery module in your supplier relationship management solution, or in your warranty solution, or in your supplier quality system. So there should be a focused supplier recovery component or a system in place. And when we look at a supplier recovery system, it should meet at least the three highlighted requirements. Should be able to easily identify the supplier and calculate the potential recovery amount. It should be able to automatically create the recovery claims, even if you are not recovering anything, or even if you are not going to pursue recovery with many suppliers. So that way you can see how much potential recovery amount you are leaving on the table by not pursuing those opportunities. And that can help you in building a business case with the supplier to negotiate better pricing, or building a business case with your management to show the numbers and maybe complement the team or improve the system to automate the process. And third one is enable supplier access through your portal. Many times we see people sending emails, people sending Excel sheets back and forth with the suppliers, and one set of recovery claims takes 3 to 6 months to close. And when you have such a lengthy process with so many manual controls in place, it makes the whole process error prone and things start to fall through the cracks. So that's where you should be able to track and control the whole process through the system. The next one is, and this is mainly for customers who are not recovering much of their warranty spend, who don't have a recovery process in place, is to identify your top 10 or top 20 suppliers and do that exercise every year. So that way you are focusing on the right set of suppliers to improve your supplier recovery. So when you are trying to work with these 20 suppliers, let's say, you should review and establish your recovery contracts. And when you are doing a review, try to see if you can change those contracts to be more in line with whatever supplier recovery system you're using, what options that system allows you to configure your recovery contract. So that will simplify the process and make it easy for you to work and follow through as you go through recovery for those 20 suppliers. Measure and track recovery, that's very important. So that way you have your matrices defined for these 20 suppliers, and you can see where you stand in terms of your recovery goals or in your recovery improvements or in your quality improvements for those 20 suppliers, and standardize on the recovery contract as much as you can. So if possible, work with purchasing group, define a set of maybe 5 to 6 recovery contract templates, and have them work with every supplier on those 5 to 6 recovery contract templates, and that will make the whole contract administration and recovery follow through much more easier and automated for supplier recovery team. And I know that's not easy to do with hundreds of suppliers that you work with, so that's where focusing on your top 20 or top 10 suppliers makes sense to start, and then keep on adding another 10 as you go through using your 80-20 rule. The fourth one is very key. You should enable maximum information sharing with your suppliers. So that information can be your dealer work orders, any analysis that you are doing on the failed parts for that particular supplier, any pictures for the failed part, any dealer notes that explain the problem or that define the premises in which the part failed. So that way, when suppliers are looking at the claim, they are not coming back to you asking for more information. They have all the information available to them through the portal up front, and that makes it easy for them to make a decision and cuts down your cycle time drastically. And this also helps you in building a case to cover part of your labor spent through supplier recovery. So many suppliers pay only for part, but now as you start sharing more and more information with your suppliers, they can start seeing that, okay, every time our part fails, OEM ends up incurring so much additional cost for labor. And then next time when you are doing a review with that supplier based on the potential recovery amount that you have left on the table, you can start doing that review, you can start explaining the situation, they will have the data, and it will make it easier for you to get them to agree on paying for part of that labor expense based on a predefined rate or a percentage depending upon how you work it out. Automate your recovery process as much as you can. So it goes along with implementation of a recovery system. So you should be able to specify your specific template-based claim workflows. So if you have, say, 5 or 10 supplier recovery contract templates, then each template can have its own workflow in terms of how you engage and work with that particular supplier. And those configured contract-specific workflows will help you in achieving higher automation. Auto accept, auto debit recovery claim. So if you are doing, upfront analysis of failed parts along with the supplier, and you are agreeing to acceptance percentage for rest of the years, system should allow you to configure that and automatically accept the claims as claims come through from the warranty process. Batch processing capabilities, I think most of you will agree that they are a must-have when it comes to automating your recovery process. Many of the suppliers will never use the supplier portal. That's the nature of business. So we will have to go through a batch process where you send the information to them, they reply back to you, and the batch process will make it easy for you to upload everything and keep track of recovery for your internal analysis purpose at least. And the last one, we have seen, few of our customers do that, and we think it's a good idea, is to make how much you're recovering, what kind of warranty challenges you're facing, an integral part of your supplier performance evaluation. So that way you can see that, if we are leaving a lot of money on the table because of the failures we are paying for, but supplier is not reimbursing for it, and make it as a factor as part of your supplier performance review. That will help you in, changing the contracts or changing a supplier if required, and highlight the dollar value of the issue with your management. So these are, again, some of the best practices that we see being followed in the industry by different customers. And based on these best practices, we have come up with what we think should be a standard feature list for a supplier recovery module. So I will not go through all of them. We will try to cover some of that using a demo also. And please feel free to get back to me if you have any questions on any of it. But some of the key features that we want to talk about is supplier identification rules. So setting up recovery contract in your system is one way, but with multiple suppliers for the same part, different terms and conditions tied to suppliers providing a particular part, it's very important that the solution should support supplier identification rules. So that way system can automatically sort out any conflicts in supplier identification and help you in process automation. Second key thing that we talked about is the supplier portal. Now the supplier portal can be part of your supplier recovery system, or system should have APIs that allow you to pass on the data to your supplier relationship management portal if you have one in place. Another key feature should be, being able to completely automate the process all the way from initiation of recovery to acceptance of the recovery claim on behalf of the supplier through the system itself. Analytics around supplier recovery, so that way you can see your top 10, suppliers from a warranty recovery opportunity point of view, top 10 suppliers from failure rate point of view, top 10 suppliers from your liability, analysis point of view, and this will help you in preparing your target list every year when you are focusing on top 20 or top 10 suppliers for improving supplier recovery. So analytics is a key, and that will also help you in sending out dedicated reports to quality, finance, supplier relationship management team, so that they know how much of an impact a particular supplier is having on the warranty aspect of the business. So these are, again, some of the key features, but we think that these should be part of every supplier recovery system at minimum to achieve the 25% or 30% supplier recovery goal that you might be setting up for your supplier recovery team. So with that overview of supplier recovery, let's move on to the demonstration of the system. Okay, so the screen that you're looking at now is our warranty management system that has been built on top of Salesforce.com platform. So this is our on-demand offering. So to start the recovery process, I'm going to submit a couple of warranty claims, so that way we can see how the process will be fully automated within the application. So this is my first claim. Let me edit the claim and submit it. So I had filled it out to save the time during the presentation. So most of the information has been filled out. So this is a simple recovery, a simple warranty claim that I'm submitting, and this has your one part that failed, and it has labor tied to the repair. I'm just going to validate it once again. System will check if there are any exceptions tied to this claim. There's one exception, and that's not going to stop me. It's a warning. I'm just going to go ahead and submit the claim. As soon as the claim is submitted, system will move the claim through the approval process. So with this particular claim, since there was an exception, system did not automatically accept it. It has moved it to submitted status. So I can go through and now approve the claim. So once the claim has been approved, depending upon the contract that has been set up in the application, either you will have the option to initiate a recovery claim manually, or system will automatically create a recovery claim and assign it to a supplier. So for this particular claim, with the way things are set up, it's going to require me to manually initiate the recovery claim. I'm just going to search for the contract. System found a contract based on the causal part number, and I'm just going to create a recovery claim. And system has created the recovery claim based on all the information that was there on the warranty claim. So this included, how much we can recover based on the labor parts that were entered on the warranty claim. So, and system has already submitted the claim directly to the supplier. And this is being driven by the parameters which are set up in the contract and that drive the workflow that the system will follow for a particular contract. We will go through the contract setup later on. And system has already assigned this recovery claim to one of the supplier users so that they can go to the portal and look at the supply recovery claim. So to complete automation flow, let me submit another claim and we'll go through that claim and see how system will automatically initiate the recovery process. This is the second claim that I'm going to submit. This is similar to the previous one. It just has a different part so that it follows a different contract. The claim has been submitted. Now, if I go to the same claim, since this claim also had an exception, it will require me to manually approve it. Now, once the claim has been approved, I need to just manually change the status to closed to simulate the payment process that takes place. Just give me a second. Let me do that. We will see that the claim has been approved and closed through the backend process. So that simulates the integration with your ERP to take care of the payment for the claim. And once that is done, then system should have automatically created a recovery claim for this particular warranty claim. Let me copy that. So this is the recovery claim that system automatically created for the corresponding warranty claim that we just approved. And one thing that you will see is that on this particular recovery claim, it not only submitted the claim to the supplier, but system automatically approved the claim on behalf of the supplier. And this is driven by the contract that is set up in the application. So let's look at the contracts that were there behind the scenes that system used to either manually create a recovery claim or automatically create a recovery claim. Let's first look at the auto approve contract. So as part of the contract setup, you have your validity terms, you have your part return control, you have your process limits that you want to define in the application, you have your decision variables which are being used in the claim workflow or the supplier recovery claim workflow. So that can include auto approval, it can include auto submission to a supplier without any manual review from the OEM. And then it has all your payment calculation logic, like how much you are going to recover for parts, how much you are going to recover for labor, and all the other cost categories. Another thing that you can define on the contract, so one of the things that we talked about when we were looking at the feature list was warranty rules. So you have your supplier contract items which are covered by the contract, and this is the warranty rules that we talked about. So you can pick any warranty rule that you have created and use that as a validation, so that only if this rule is met by the warranty claim, by the supplier part, system will apply or use this particular supplier contract to create the claim. So let me create a new warranty rule, and I will show you, that this is very extensible, and you can use any data within the application which will be linked to that claim to create this rule. So this rule can be based on the warranty claim. This rule can be based on the supplier, so suppliers are stored as accounts, or this rule can be based on your supplier contract term. It can be based on your supplier product, like when the part was purchased, when the machine was manufactured. So all those things are available to create your warranty rule. Let me define the criteria, and you can have multiple criteria. So since we define it for supplier product, it's letting me define, based on the manufacturing date of the part. So we know that, okay, if the product was manufactured within certain date range, we can use this particular recovery contract based on the rule criteria that we are defining in the application. Or you can use any other data field for that matter. You can use your product hierarchy, that what is the model or what is the product line tied to this particular unit, and based on that you can decide if it was supplier A or supplier B. So all those different uh, business criteria that might exist today, on paper or in the mind of the supplier recovery administrators, you can try to define them in the application, and system will use the rule-based structure to eliminate potential conflicts when it comes to supplier selection. So that way, we try to make sure that the challenges that we looked at earlier that people face when they are trying to automate their supplier recovery process are getting addressed as part of our application. So this was the second claim that we looked at. And if we look at the supplier contract for this particular recovery claim, you will see the differences in terms of why this was not automatically approved. You can see that there is no auto approval allowed on this particular supplier recovery contract. The system sent the claim to supplier but did not automatically approve it. You can define and maintain your acceptance rate. So if you have agreed upon an acceptance rate with the supplier, if you want to automate the process, you can configure the acceptance rate and trigger the auto approval on the claim. And then system will automatically approve all your claims as soon as they are generated from your warranty claim. Your warranty claim is submitted and approved, system generates a recovery claim, and based on the contract, it can automatically submit it to supplier, mark it as approved on their behalf using the acceptance rate that is defined on the contract level. So all these are, like, the whole automation of the recovery process is feasible within the application, and you can have different processes in the system for different suppliers or different supplier contracts. Now, one thing that we are working on as part of our product roadmap is to also provide support for supplier contract templates. So that way, when we talk about defining templates and using those templates with purchasing groups so that they can structure most of the supplier recovery contracts along the lines of the templates that we have defined for supplier recovery. So you can configure the same templates in the application and use one of those templates to create a recovery contract automatically. So that way you will not have to go through the complete recovery contract setup. System will take care of that based on the template that we have selected. So all these improvements hopefully will help our customers in solving some of the challenges around supply recovery. Now, another thing that I wanted to highlight is we are trying to stay true to the flexibility that the platform provides when it comes to configuring your workflows, configuring your business logic. So even the whole logic of in what situation system should automatically create a recovery claim from warranty claim is configurable. So we are using the visual flows, which are simply drag and drop with some configuration to set up the workflow or the process logic that system is using to decide whether to create a warranty claim, sorry, a recovery claim from warranty claim automatically or not. So that whole logic is configurable and it's managed within the platform. So tomorrow, if you see the need for changing it, or if you are going to use different logics for different recovery contract templates, those can be easily configured and set up within the system. So this will help you in achieving higher automation in your supplier recovery process. For our supplier recovery module, we are using the same reporting and dashboarding capabilities which exist on the platform. So you can configure and set up your reports, dashboards, all within the platform, and schedule them to be shared with different teams, different groups automatically, so that you don't have to manually go and create those reports and share them with different people. And you can share these reports not only within your organization, you can even set up the schedule so that these supplier recovery reports, these dashboards that we talk about, can be shared even with your external suppliers within the application. So you can configure the report, set up a subscription so that system automatically emails the report to your suppliers on a nightly or on a weekly or on a monthly basis as per your process. This is just a sample dashboard that we have configured looking at the recovery information. Now, if I have to subscribe to it, I can go to the reports and set up the subscription for it. So that, is what we wanted to cover as part of our supplier recovery demonstration. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask now, or you can contact me later. Now we will move on to the questions that have been posted by different team members. So there's a question that has been asked in terms of, how do we ensure that suppliers are engaged in the process and they are responding to our claims or the recovery claims that we are sending to them promptly. So there are a few things that we have seen work when it comes to enticing the suppliers to respond to your recovery efforts. So first one is you can define your response thresholds within your recovery contract. So that will bound them to an SLA when it comes to responding to recovery claims. The second one is with Salesforce platform, you can set up the whole process in such a way that it shoots out email alerts at every step of the process. And then you can also enable email responses back from them. So that makes it a lot more easier. So if we go back to one of the best practices that we talked about in terms of sharing the data with suppliers, so think of it as creating a report that has all the information that a supplier needs about a recovery claim, emailing it to them as soon as we create a recovery claim. The appropriate person on the supplier side sees it, they see all the information all in one email, so they don't even have to come back and log in into the application. They can just reply to that email saying approved, and system will use that and automatically update the claim with the response that we have received from the supplier. So that's another way where you can use an alternate approach to the portal where suppliers are interacting with you through email. The third thing that we have seen being used by customers is the whole chatter or the social interaction platform that Salesforce provides. So you can have notes going back and forth around a recovery claim using comments or posts directly on the chatter with your suppliers, but that will require the suppliers to log in into the portal. And another thing that you can do where you can enforce them to log into the portal is to provide them more reports, either get the warranty information, put it onto their the purchasing side of things, or start getting their purchasing scorecard, tie it with warranty recovery score, and put them somewhere in your supplier recovery portal. So that makes it mandatory for certain people on the supplier side to log into the application. So all these different approaches are feasible. The one that meets your requirements based on the behavior that you want to drive with your suppliers can be set up and implemented as part of the application. So that was the only question that we had so far. So with that, I would like to wrap up our session today. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Most of you have my contact information already in place. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate, just shoot it directly to me or to Tavant's team, and we will give you a prompt response. If you want us to set up a more streamlined and focused demonstration based on the supply recovery challenges that you are facing and how Tavant system can be used to address those, we can do that as well. So do let us know if you see a need for a more focused demonstration. So with that, I will try to wrap up the session. Thank you for your time. Stay in touch. We will be sending out an invite for our next webinar in another week or so. Thank you, everyone.